What's happening, party people? I am in Fortuna, California. Supposed to be headed a little bit south or east, north of the Bay Area today. However, I have a couple of events scheduled later today and one in the morning. So I might have to skip past the Bay Area. Well, head on the south edge of the Bay Area and then backtrack. I don't like backtracking, driving 100 miles past where I need to be and then going back, but I may have to do that. So I'm looking at my schedule this morning, seeing how that's going to all play out. Now, had a great time yesterday with Jean and Sarah. Have a nice S60R. Had some critters chew through some wires. Was able to find those wires a little quicker than I expected and tear some of the stuff out of the engine bay so we can get those wires repaired, soldered, and protected. Use those new solder connections. Great day, the whole day, man. From the time I woke up to the time I got back to the hotel. The drive out there was fabulous if you have a sports car without 900 pounds of stuff in the back of it. On my way back, I was booking, trying to keep up with somebody, and I hit this curve, the road dropped, another curve was ahead, I hit the brakes, I might have got a little air on one of those wheels, and that car hit the ground, all the stuff shifted. I should have had my net up. I'm surprised a bunch of stuff didn't land in the front seat, but we kept it on the road. That's important, because off the road up there is not good. So anyway, I'm trying to map out my plan of attack for today and the next week. So I'm going to be sending people messages hopefully today so that they could be prepared for my arrival. That's where I'm at. Hope you enjoyed today's video clips. I was hanging out with Eli, tearing parts off of his V70 parts car so he could send that thing to the crusher. And man, that was enough footage not to add much more to it. So that's what you're going to get today. Hopefully you'll get another double poster tomorrow to get caught back up to the current scheme of things. Thanks for watching. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert. That's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you could click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. This piece here, guys are buying so that they can convert their 240s to electric fans. These are the relays that go on the fan on cars 99 and newer. So you got that. You could probably sell that. This is a fan relay that controls the fan and does all that stuff. Cooling fan relay for the engine. You could probably... That, I've already pulled the fan, so the fan's out over there. So next we're going to get this power steering pump out of the way. It's the new style square power steering pump. Then we'll grab the alternator. Then we'll grab the AC compressor out of there, just so you can have spare parts or discard them at your wheel. And car will still be stable and function, so you can have it drug out of here when the time comes.
So maybe I could prompt you some questions, like you wouldn't hear me, but you would just answer them. But what's the interchangeability of these parts? Like, considering this is a 99 non-turbo, things like that, fan relay and whatnot, like.
The fan system on that fan relay is probably, this one here is probably all P80 cars from 93 all the way to 2000. It's got the part number there. And basically it takes cues from the ECU as to when to cut the fan on and when to cut the fan off. Now it has a ETC sensor that works in conjunction with it that takes the temperature off the coolant from where the thermostat is and sends that signal and information to the ECU And with that information, it tells it how hot the engine is, when to cut the fan on, when to cut the fan off. So that works along with that. So out there at the hotel, I was actually considering going out onto the boat dock and ask somebody to just take me out on the boat with them.
Oh, rad.
Say, hey, I'm ready to go fishing. Let's go, Man, this bolt, I guess, is not a bolt that would unbolt this thing. Yeah, that's bolting the pump together. I'm going to put that one back. I'm going to cut this belt and then reach in there and take those things off to get this pump out of the way so it'll be easier to reach the alternator. I don't think you need the belt. The ECUs come out very easy on the cars built prior to 99. So if you have a 98 car, it has its own release attached to the computer. You grab the release, pull it back, pull the computer out. But if the car is like this, 1999 or newer, you actually need a special tool to remove those ECUs. The tool goes down there, fits in there a certain way. Now, if you're a magician, you could probably get these ECUs out without the special tool, but it's so much easier with the special tool. So if I tried to take these computers out, it would probably take me 15 minutes a computer, and I may or may not get them out. With the tool, they come out in like 2-3 seconds.
We're talking about the 2000 V70 XE computer system.
Okay, in 1999, now this is a 99 still, right?
This is a 99, correct.
Is it 2000?
That one's a 2000.
Okay.
I got confused, sorry.
All right, so in 1999, Volvo introduced a computer network system to their automobiles, which means that their cars have a network system in it, in their computer system. So you can't take the computer out of this car and put it in any other car without programming. They have to log in to the network system and tell this computer to communicate with the other 5 or 6 computers in the car. And then the even newer ones, like 2001 and newer, they have another 1 or 2 additional computers that are all networked together. So in the 98 and older cars, you can pull a computer out and put it in another car, no problem. But these 99 and newer cars, you can't swap the computer car brain into any other car. It even communicates with the key in the car to work with the immobilizer system. So you can't steal a car and all that stuff with the wrong key. So the keys programmed to the security system in the car, to the ECU, to a couple other computers. There's like 4 or 5 computers that are programmed together that work in conjunction with the key to let the car start and run. Throttle body, you could actually, did you get the tool to take this serpentine belt out?
Yeah, this is it, right?
All right, yes, you do that to get that out. I need to do that before I get too far along here. Let me get this. So if this belt is new, this has a 14 millimeter. It doesn't have. So you think that'll? You think this will fit that?
I used it. It was weird. I think Ward mentioned that this tensioner was different than the one he had on his car.
Yeah, it is. This tensioner tool has 3 different tools on there. It has what appears to be a T40, what appears to be a T50, and then it has this 12.14 millimeter. And you could use that to drop down here on the serpentine belt tensioner and take the tension off the belt. So, very handy tool to have. there you have it. The belt is loose and able to be removed. If you know you replaced it, you could keep it as a spare. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely use that as a spare. Dude, this thing is hard to come off. You may want to put some oil on that little
right on.
tip there. Other than that, it will come right off real easy. So we're removing the power steering pump to get that out of the way so we can reach the alternator. I'm not breaking the hydraulics to it. I'm just removing the pump from the area so I can move it out of the way. Now I can reach the alternator bolts. It looks like one of these alternator bolts are already pretty loose. The thing is hanging out. Who did that?
Good job, Eli.
You didn't put this alternator on, did you?
Yeah, no, like this was one of those things, like I followed your video and
Oh, you put the alternator in?
yeah, I did the alternator and the radiator or whatever. That's right, but two separate occasions.
Okay.
And that was where I was stoked. Actually, I don't want to talk over this video.
Yeah, the only time you really want a turbo is when you're towing something uphill. Then you want a turbo real bad.
Well, just that drive up 213, down by Home Depot, and you go through all the woods up here.
Uh-huh.
Like,
Oh, yeah.
Dude, the XC, I can go 80 up that just without batting an eye.
Oh, yeah.
And it's
turbo.
like this car would start to struggle on the last, not struggle.
No, let me tell you something, dude. You ain't even seen that if you're dealing with, like, altitude, too.
Oh,
altitude.
No, coming out of we took this car to Yellowstone.
Oh,
and coming
man.
out of the Grand Tetons, going north towards Idaho. This car couldn't do more than 40 on this one grade. Like, it was sad. Yeah, it was sad.
Yeah, dude, it gets real sad.
And it was, fully loaded with the family and luggage and all that, but still, it was kind of shameful to be that car.
All right, so is this alternator bolted to the bottom of this AC compressor too? It looks like it is.
Come around.
Looks like I'll need to. Oh, this AC system probably hadn't been discharged. We may want to have this AC system stuff recaptured so that we don't release that into the ozone. So we'll probably stop there. Yeah,
we reached the limits of. I need some light here. Just lost its will to live.
All right, so we got all of the refrigerant evacuated from the AC system, and we're removing the alternator. The lower alternator bolts on this car is held in by the top bolts for the AC compressor. So we're pulling these bolts and those bolts. They come out of the front and pull towards the front of the car. Long bolts, man. Long bolts.
I feel like when I was working on this, I got to a point where I could the bolt I was trying to hit, I could only turn the ratchet like a quarter of a turn. And it seriously, I felt like it took like 20 minutes to take out.
Yeah, you got those 20-minute bolts. That's why those guys with those power tools, man, they put that power tool on there and zip that out, So when all of these jobs were created, they were all created with manual tools. And that's why some of the labor hours on them is 3 hours. Now with the power tools, they can do that 3-hour job in 40 minutes. But guess what they charge? 3 hours. So they can do more jobs in a day. And if their shop is paying them by the job, they can make decent money.
These were the last words of Robert Spinner before the SAE shop mafia dispatched him.
Dispatched their hitmen And they're not gonna change because of me. They like making more money, doctor money. They like making doctor money. Some of them make more money than doctors, certain doctors, but they got to be good. They can't be dilly-dallying around. They making that money quick. Do, 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 do. Part of some of these jobs getting done quicker is learning what little thing you can move out of the way to make that job even go faster. So I could remove this one little bolt, get it out of the way, move the harness 2 inches, and now I could get that bolt out in 1.5 minutes instead of 4.5 minutes or 20 minutes. Heck, you might not be able to get this bolt out with that other bolt in the way.
That's one of the bolts holding the alternator on?
The AC compressor. The alternator's already out.
The alternator's out. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. One more bolt down here. If I can find it. Be the last bolt for this AC compressor. Do, 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 do.
Sorry, if this thing bonks you, let me know. I'll try and not hit you.
No, I dropped that Allen down in there, that Allen 6 down in the computer box somewhere. You see it, or did it go between the computers?
Oh yeah, it's right between.
And I had to fish that out.
Yeah.
With either a screwdriver or a magnet. Missing out of people's cars, so
Right on.
I like to take extra hardware. I'm gonna have to raid a salvage yard and get a bunch of bolts out of another car there, because I lost a lot of hardware and mattress.
Oh man.
With somebody's 850s. I think people are even buying like the wire harness off the top of these engines. The non-turbos are probably in better shape because they don't have the heat of a turbo in the engine bay. AutoZone sells connections for like 75 bucks a piece, you know, so that stuff does get expensive. So there's the AC compressor, and here's the alternator, and that's the engine cooling fan. So you got those 3 things out. Now, if you got a new air filter in there, of course you could save that and keep that as well.
All right. What do you got on this subject?
All right, a common issue is under here there's a couple things you see. One thing that's very common to see is oil puddled up under there, because mostly these oil cap seals go bad and people don't replace them, and they leak oil past the cap, especially if your PCV's not good. Another common thing, other than the oil pulling up, is the wire looms degrading. So you see here, you got exposed wires here and exposed wires here. That's because over time, this plastic getting heated up and cooled down, it just disintegrates the wire loom stuff. So that's not a real big deal, but you can actually go to like Harbor Freight or somewhere and buy this wire loom plastic covering and put it back over these wires Main purpose is to keep the wires bundled together and a little bit protect them from some of the heat that they experience. But yeah, that stuff just degrades. Not a problem, but cosmetically, it looks better with the wire loom protection stuff on there. One of the things that we're dealing with here with this 99 is 99 year was the introduction of the computerized cars. Computerized network the ECU with the throttle body, with the ignition key, with other modules and stuff in the car. And if you buy the 99 car, you get to be the guinea pig as to how that stuff works. Yeah, the manufacturer, they try to get everything worked out, but no, they sold these cars to 200,000 people and let those 200,000 people help them work out the bugs. I'm not really into buying something for $35,000 to help you work out the bugs. So if you can avoid it, don't buy a 99. Those cars are somewhat problematic because of the introduction of new technology, and that goes for any auto manufacturer. You know, I like the 850s. When Volvo created the 850s, they won like 50 awards for the design of that car. And yeah, the S&V 70s piggy-tailed off of that, but some of the things with the S&V 70s are still not as good as the original 850 stuff was. But try to avoid the 99 cars if you can. They're good cars, but they got their little glitches and bugs that you really would rather not work with, and some mechanics simply don't know how to deal with. So get 2000 or newer, or get 98 and older. Kind of stay away from the redheaded. When you're looking at AC compressors, the biggest thing with the Volvo ACs is the clutch gap. If you look right here, there's a little space between this piece that's turning and the piece on the front that's not. You want that little gap in there, very close. If you see that gap is wide enough to put like a penny in there, that gap is too wide, and that'll cause that AC compressor not to work once it gets hot. So your AC compressor with that small gap in the clutch is perfect. What that really does is when you demand a load from the engine, climbing the hill, getting on the freeway, accelerating hard, your car system will cut the AC off so you have extra power, not running the AC compressor. Once you let your foot up off the gas, maybe to 30% throttle and less, it'll let this AC compressor kick back on. Magnets pull it in. If that gap is too far, it's too far for the magnets to pull it back in, and until your AC system cools down from the engine being off, your AC won't work again. So some of you have ACs, they work fine when you first start driving the car. After the car warms up, you do something with your accelerator to kick the AC off, and then it never kicks back on until the engine cools down. That's why, the clutch gap. And I got a video that shows you how to hack the clutch gap and close it up a little bit with zip ties. These zip ties go in these little rings here and pull that together. It's a little harder to do with this compressor, but it works with this one too. These little tension bands, if you stick a piece of plastic or anything, a zip tie through there, it'll push this gap closed, allowing the magnets to pull that thing back together and keeping it working even when the car gets hot. Today's fuel saving tip: don't let your car warm up first thing in the morning. Start the car and drive away. When you get in your car first thing in the morning, you start it up, this gauge will go up. Once that gauge falls below 1,000, that's letting you know the car is ready to be driven. Your temperature gauge is over there, it's cold. This is not your grandfather's old 62 Chevy that has a carburetor. Fuel injecting cars are ready to go. The quicker this car heats up, the better your fuel economy will be. So don't just start off and race away. Drive nice and calm, not aggressive. Your car will warm up quicker, get you better gas mileage. Stop wasting gas with your car warming up. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.